There were over 270 million cluster bombs that were dropped over Laos during the Vietnam War. A third of them never exploded, which means that ordinary citizens and children today are being impacted by those unexploded ordnance. There were more than 580,000 bombing missions that took place over Laos from 1964 to 1973, which means that Laos, the land of my birth, is the most heavily bombed country in world history. Warplanes filled the skies, and bombs rained down over the country, impacting millions and millions of people and families like my own, who had to either take cover underground or be killed. I was born on March 24th, 1975. By April 30th, the world had declared the Vietnam War over. Soon after that, the communists took power in Laos, and by May, 2 months after my birth in 1975, my father was captured and placed in a re-education camp, otherwise known as Samana, or forced labor. It was during this tumultuous time in my father's life that he really had to dive deep. He had to go to a place that transcended the physical body and reach the soul. In that moment of turmoil, a miracle happened. My father had clarity of vision. His ultimate goal in life and his mission was to make sure that he survived so that he can get his family, 5 females at the time, to a safe and healthy environment. My father had to trust that there was more to his physical being, because if he only relied on his body, he would have perished within months. His mind and his heart would have given up. But he had to go deeper. He had to go deeper to a place where love still resided, where hope was still hope, and where there was an unwavering faith that it was going to be okay. It was through that convergence of the physical body and the soul coming together that he was able to find the fuel to survive, that he was able to find the hope and the energy to reignite his purpose for living. I think about my father and what he must have gone through, and I think about the moments or conversations he must have had in his own life, in his own mind, and what he might have imagined. And in my mind, I'm thinking, he knew that there was a purpose for living now. He had to take care of us. He had to survive. And he knew that his survival and his willpower to live was directly correlated to our paths in life and what would become of us. And in that knowing and in that trust, he found a way. He found a way to escape so that he can find safety for us. He found a way so that he could help us survive a long journey to God knows where during that escape that he had plotted. And he also imagined a world that maybe one day all of us could thrive beyond his wildest imaginations. That spiritual place he went to gave him superhuman powers. It activated something inside of him, and it inspired me and inspires me today. My father, with his clarity of vision and his emotional commitment to the mission in his life, was to get us across the Mekong River. And if he was successful, everything else in his life would be additional blessings. My father made a conscious choice. He made an incredible choice to stay alive. He did not give up hope, but he had to remind himself on a daily basis that he was a soul living inside a physical body, because otherwise it wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have made it through. My father also made a conscious choice to believe that all of the things in the universe would come together and make it happen for us. And I'm so grateful because I'm here in front of you today. After 4 years of plotting the escape, we finally, as a family, left to cross the Mekong River in a boat like that. There were 6.5 of us. My brother was in my mom's tummy. And my father was writing secret telegrams to relatives in Thailand. And on the evening of our escape, they met us across the river. They stuffed us in a produce truck. And they took us to a safe house for 2 weeks. Again, as I mentioned, my mother was several months pregnant, and my grandmother could not contain her grief because she was leaving the only place she had ever known. We finally made it to the refugee camps. It was overcrowded, heavily guarded, and we had to dig underneath barbed wire fences to force ourselves into safety. You know, I think about the miracle that happened when my father was at the re-education camp, where he uncovered his purpose. Even through the tumultuous times, miracles happen. Another miracle took place when we found ourselves safe at the refugee camp. My brother was born safely inside that camp. Miracles do happen. I think so much, and I'm still in awe when I think about my parents and my grandmother and what it must have taken for them to leave the only place they'd ever known, for them to trust that it was going to be okay. I wondered how they were able to find that superhuman strength, go deep to the soul where all of that still resided, and push away the fears, push away the anxiety, to continue to row that boat, to continue to dig underneath barbed wire fences, and to hop on a plane to an unknown destination, never ever knowing where they were going to land, but always with an inner knowing and a trust that it would be someplace better. As my life unfolded and continues to unfold, I now understand how my parents were able to tap into that space, go to the soul. I've been through so much in my own personal journey. I've had my own losses and my pains. And I've had to dig deep. I've had to question everything. But yet there was always an inner knowing inside of me, a deep trust that I was being carried to someplace better. I always knew that. And perhaps it's inherited, coded in my DNA somehow, this ability to draw upon the trust and optimism and hope. But regardless, it is so empowering and useful to be able to draw upon that hope and trust and have faith. Because if you are devoted and committed to manifesting a life where there is more consistent joy than there is pain and despair to override the beauty that this journey called life can provide, It is a magical thing. I've had to do a lot of soul searching. My family has. We've been through so much. We understand and have experienced the sorrows and frustrations of poverty and of prejudice. I've reached the depths of despair. I truly have. And I've looked trauma right in the eyes many times, and it punched me in the face anyway. I've experienced tragic loss of a fiancé to a drowning accident 3 months before our wedding. I've had my hand on my father's heart when he drew his last breath. I cleaned my best friend's apartment when we learned that he took his own life. And I wiped the tears, the last one to be shed, when my grandmother was leaving us on this earthly plane. So I know what it feels like to be in deep despair. But I also know that there is a place that we can go, to the soul level, to the place where love and hope and unwavering trust was prepackaged. It came along with our soul. It has given me superhuman strength. It has allowed me to actually take the bruises and the broken pieces to create beautiful mosaics, living testimonies of the fragility and the beauty of our lives, as well as the body and the soul's capacity to learn to bend instead of break. As I went through my journeys, I did go deep within, as you can hear, but I also learned how to reach out for help. I sought counseling and group sharing activities. I read countless self-help books. You wouldn't believe how many. I also hired trained coaches and hypnotherapists to help me on a healthy healing journey. And I practiced meditation and emotional freedom technique, tapping, EFT. We have to gather those tools and place them deep inside of us, somewhere safe, so that we can reach for them and turn them on and actively participate in our next moves when life experiences throw those boulders onto our path. I have deep wounds, very painful scars. They're still with me. And I have a profound understanding that they all are coming together to put the pieces of my destiny so it can make sense of my purpose in life. I get that now, and I love my story. I finally love my story. I love all of it because of all the miraculous things that took place along the way. And all along on my journey, and all of our journeys, miracles happen every day. Miracles happen. For example, war. War put me on this path, gave me a second chance so that I can be in front of you at a TEDx stage. Experiencing so much death, it actually brought me to life. I honor everything. My friends know this about me. I honor every moment, every experience, good, bad, and profound. The heartbreaks, the betrayals, the disappointments, they taught me how to love openly and honestly. They taught me how to forgive quickly, myself and others, so that there is a lightness in my heart which creates more room for love to enter, for me to be loved, and for me to give love. These are the things that activate our superhuman powers. the trust and the inner knowing, and going to that deep place of the soul. It helps me to create a world where it's not all about my pain. It's about my joys. It's about all the things that come from the pain. The pain doesn't have to linger. When our body and our soul meets, we truly, truly understand that the body was created as a tool. It was created as a tool for us to channel, message, and deliver our soul's work. That's what I've learned. I've learned that the healing actually takes place while hurting. And I've learned how to fall ever more gracefully with every tumble. I've learned that all is as it should be, or it would be something else. And I've learned to love what life has to offer me, instead of expecting it to be the way I want it to be. War, tragic losses, disappointments, life's instabilities, they do a lot of damage to the soul, to the spirit, I should say. But when we're able to turn our pain into our motivation, something brilliant happens. The convergence of the physical and the soul, when they come together consciously, it's such a beautiful, beautiful place to stand when you can look at the world with new lenses and you can see everything as a teaching moment or as a lesson or something that's going to build you up and make you stronger and build your empathy bucket so far, so deep, so wide that you can just about help anybody. My biggest hope and wish for you is that you remember at every chance you get that your body came with a soul that wants to soar in this lifetime. That you find your clarity of vision and make a recommitment to your mission in this life. My greatest prayer is that you understand your worth, is that you turn the pain into passion, and you activate your superhuman powers, your gifts, your talents, your life experiences to create such a ripple effect across the world for future generations and throughout the universe. That is my call to action. Thank you. Khotjai.